If you are over 60 and money is leaving your account every single month for bills you assume are simply part of life, I need you to stop and listen to this, because at least one of the 5 things I'm about to walk you through is very likely costing you money the law never actually asked you to pay. Not a gray area, not a maybe. 5 specific situations where the rules say you are entitled to pay less, or in some cases, nothing at all. And yet, honest, careful pensioners hand over the full amount month after month, because nobody has ever sat them down and explained it properly. I've gone through the actual legislation, the real exemptions, and the official guidance that sits quietly on government websites that almost nobody ever reads. And what I found made me genuinely angry on behalf of the people watching this, because the system that should be telling you about these things has absolutely no obligation to do so, and it very rarely does. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which of these 5 apply to you, what they are worth in real money, and the precise steps to take this week to stop paying for things you were never legally required to pay for in the first place. I'm James Hartley, and before I go any further, do me a quick favor and hit subscribe and turn on the bell. The rules around pensions, exemptions, and the benefits sitting alongside them change constantly. And when they do, nobody from the government rings to explain what it means for you. I take these the moment they land and turn them into plain English, so you are never the one left behind. Hit subscribe, and let's get into it properly. Let me start with the one that catches more people than almost anything else on this list, because most pensioners assume this exemption disappeared years ago. And for a lot of you, it has not. If you are 75 or over and you receive pension credit, you are entitled to a completely free TV license. Not discounted, free. The full amount, currently over £160 a year, simply waived. Here is where the confusion comes in, and where the broadcaster benefits from your confusion. A few years ago, the rules changed so that being 75 alone is no longer enough on its own. You now also need to be receiving pension credit. And that single extra condition is exactly why so many older households who would otherwise qualify are not claiming it, because they either assume the blanket exemption still exists in its old form, or they do not realize that pension credit is the key that unlocks it. If you are 75 or over, and you are not currently on pension credit, it is worth checking whether you would actually qualify for it, because that one check can unlock not just the TV license, but several of the other things on this list as well. If you already receive pension credit and you are paying for your TV license, you are paying for something you do not need to pay for at all, and that is money you can claim back and stop paying from this point forward. The second bill is the one I want you to pay closest attention to, because the savings here are often the largest of anything on this list. If you live alone, you are entitled to a 25% reduction on your council tax, no matter your income. That alone is worth several £100s a year on a typical bill. But it goes further than that. If you or someone in your household lives with a serious and lasting condition affecting the mind, such as dementia, the effects of a stroke, or a condition like Parkinson's, the law allows that person to be disregarded entirely for council tax purposes. If they live alone, the property can become completely exempt, nothing to pay whatsoever. And if your income in retirement is modest, council tax reduction can bring your bill down to 0, regardless of any of the above, simply based on what you have coming in and what you have put by. The reason this catches so many people is that none of it is automatic. The council does not comb through its records looking for people to help. It waits for you to ask, which means a person can be entitled to pay nothing at all and still be sitting there every month, paying the full amount, simply because the claim was never made. The third one is smaller individually, but adds up significantly over time. And it surprises people because the age threshold is not where most assume it is. Once you reach 60, prescriptions in Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland are already free for everyone, regardless of age. So this particular point mainly matters if you are in England. In England, prescriptions become free once you turn 60, not 65, as a lot of people still assume. If you are between 60 and 65, and you have been paying for prescriptions this whole time, you have very likely been paying for something the law already says you do not need to pay for. On top of the basic age exemption, there is a longer list of medical conditions that qualify for free prescriptions, regardless of your age at all. Things like certain thyroid conditions, epilepsy requiring continuous treatment, and several others most people have never heard of. If you are on regular medication and you are not yet 60, it is worth checking that list, because the exemption may already apply to you for reasons that have nothing to do with your age. The fourth bill is one that catches people, because the rules feel complicated, when in reality, the qualifying condition is simple. NHS dental treatment is not free simply because you are over a certain age. And this is where a lot of pensioners get the picture wrong in the opposite direction, assuming there must be an age exemption when there is not one in the way there is for prescriptions. What actually triggers free NHS dental treatment is receiving certain income-related benefits, most importantly, the guarantee credit part of pension credit. If you receive guarantee credit, your NHS dental treatment, including checkups, fillings, and more significant work, is entirely free. If you are only receiving the savings credit part of pension credit, or no pension credit at all, the exemption does not automatically apply, although you may still qualify for help through the NHS low-income scheme, depending on your overall financial situation. The reason this matters so much is the same reason that runs through this entire video. Dental costs are not small. A full course of treatment can run into hundreds of pounds, and the difference between paying that in full and paying nothing at all very often comes down to a single benefit that was never claimed. Sitting there unclaimed, precisely because nobody explained the connection between the two. The fifth and final bill on this list is your eyesight, and this is the one that quietly costs people the most over a number of years, because it repeats every couple of years for the rest of your life. Once you turn 60, NHS eye tests become completely free, regardless of your income. That part is genuinely automatic, in the sense that age alone qualifies you. No application needed beyond mentioning your date of birth at the opticians. But the part many people miss sits just beyond that. If you are on pension credit, you may also be entitled to a voucher that goes toward the cost of glasses or contact lenses themselves, not just the test. The value of that voucher depends on the strength of the prescription you need, but for people with more complex prescriptions, it can cover a significant portion of the cost of new glasses. Combine the free eye test with the optical voucher, and the eyesight bill that so many older people simply accept as an ongoing cost of retirement can, for those who qualify, become close to nothing at all. I want to pause here and explain something that ties every single one of these five together, because once you understand it, you will never look at a bill the same way again. Every one of these exemptions exists because Parliament deliberately decided that people in certain situations, whether that is living alone, living with a serious illness, or getting by on a modest income, should not be expected to pay the same as everyone else. These are not loopholes, they are not favors, they are the law working exactly as intended. But the organizations responsible for collecting these bills, the council, the TV licensing authority, the dental practice, are not the same organizations responsible for telling you that you qualify for an exemption. There is no requirement anywhere in the system for the people taking your money to also be the people who tell you that you do not have to give it to them. That responsibility sits entirely with you. And if you never ask, the money simply keeps leaving your account exactly as it always has. This is precisely why honest, capable, switched-on people end up paying bills they were never legally required to pay. It has nothing to do with intelligence and everything to do with information that was never put in front of them. So let me give you the practical part, because knowing about these 5 things only matters if you actually act on them. The first thing to do is work out whether you receive pension credit, because it is the single key that unlocks the largest number of these exemptions at once. The TV license, the dental treatment, and the optical voucher all run through it in one way or another. If you are not currently receiving it and your income is modest, it is worth checking your eligibility properly, because many people who assume they earn too much to qualify are surprised to find they do. The second thing is to pull out your most recent bills, the council tax bill, anything from the TV licensing authority, and look at what you are actually being charged. If there is no reduction or exemption showing, and one of the 5 situations I have described applies to your household, that is a claim waiting to be made. The third thing is to make the actual calls, rather than assuming someone else will sort it out for you. Ring your counsel and ask specifically about the situation that applies to you by name. Check your pension credit eligibility through the pension service. Mention your date of birth at the opticians and the dentist and ask directly what you are entitled to. And the fourth thing, if any of it feels like too much to navigate alone, is to use the free help that exists specifically for this. Age UK and Citizens Advice will go through your whole situation with you, identify everything you are entitled to, and help with the paperwork, all without charging you a single penny. The reason I wanted to bring you all 5 of these together in one video, rather than separately, is that, on their own, each one might feel like a relatively small saving. A free TV license, a reduced council tax bill, a free eye test. But stacked together, for someone who qualifies for several of them at once, the total can run into well over £1,000 a year, every year, for the rest of your life. That is not pocket change. That is the difference between a genuinely comfortable retirement and one spent constantly watching every pound, paying full price for things the law never asked you to pay full price for in the first place. None of what I have described today is a trick or a loophole. It is simply the system working exactly as Parliament intended, available to anyone who knows to ask. The only thing standing between you and these savings is the asking itself. You now know all 5. You know what they are worth. You know exactly who to contact. And you know that none of this happens automatically. That knowledge, used properly this week, is worth more than almost anything else you could do for your finances right now. If this has been useful to you, please pass it on to anyone you know who is over 60, because they have very likely never been told a single word of this, and it could genuinely change what they pay for the rest of their lives. Hit subscribe and stay close, because I will keep bringing you exactly this kind of thing the moment it matters. I'm James Hartley, and I'll see you in the next video.